the coaching session, and you're gonna tell me the questions one by one.
Okay, cool.
Just start with the first question, and then I'm gonna answer it. Okay.
Okay. What do you do if you're playing bad for a week? You're having a bad week. How do you get out of a rut?
Playing bad for a week. In my personal opinion, I'm instantly going towards a break, and like start with like a micro break. Like I'm talking like a 1 to 2 where I literally don't touch the Fortnite game at all. And
Week
I don't,
or day?
Day. 1 to 2 days. Because if you're playing bad for a week, you should be relative to that sort of time frame. Now, if you're playing bad for a month, then something more major is necessary, but that doesn't seem to be the case, right? But if you're playing bad for a week, first of all, like the first step I would do before taking that break is, are you objectively playing bad, right? And if you're not objectively playing bad, the way you sort of do this is you ask other people around you who have seen you play, am I playing worse, right? And also try to evaluate yourself in a non-biased way. So that's important. Because if sometimes it's just a lack of confidence that's really happening. Sometimes you've improved a significant amount, maybe you're not happy with the rate of improvement, and then you think you're playing bad, and then that's really not good, because clearly you're emotional with your play. You're not actually looking at the objective, did I improve, right? So you should actually just learn how to non-biased evaluate yourself. And if it is objectively worse, first of all, thing to understand is like this is not actually how, like, think about it, people think that this is improvement. People think this is improvement.
Right. Yeah. No.
It's like this. Right?
Right. Yeah.
Like literally, it goes crazy. And it's really important to understand that fluctuations can happen. Now, how do you make sure you've improved? You look at a longer time period than 1 week.
Yeah.
Right? That's what you do. You extend the timeline so you can see, okay, like starting point was here, starting end point here. I've improved.
Sure.
Really good.
No, cool. I'm with you.
Yeah.
So perfect.
That's what I would do. If it really feels like you're objectively playing worse, take a 1 day break. A 1 day break. No Fortnite. No, like, and during this time you're not playing other games too. Like you just literally stop playing Fortnite for a bit.
Yeah, no, that worked. That answers it perfectly. This is a yes or no question. Do you think it's worth to take a month and switch to the Martaz joystick?
No.
I'm 24 and I understand professionalism, so you can be honest with me.
Yes.
Are there content creators that I shouldn't watch because I don't want that information? Currently, I watch you, Destiny Jesus. That's about it. I don't. Even Jiven sometimes says things, and I'm like, dude, I don't know about that. You know.
Here's the correct answer. It's not that you shouldn't watch them. It's that you should understand where their experience is coming from.
Okay.
So you can watch them, because actually sometimes Jiven says stuff that is like actually really good. Right.
Okay.
But at the same time, you should understand his audience, right? Like, who's his audience?
Right.
His audience is not the people that want to sort of like so first of all, his audience is broad. It's not the same type of people that want to make like money every single tournament, like want to go pro. There are people that want to go pro in his audience, but then his audience also includes a wider range of people, so he has to be more general and more casual and more friendly and more upbeat, right?
Okay.
So that's why he's like that. But sometimes his information is good, sometimes his information is bad. The goal is for you to be so good at Fortnite that you can tell which one's which, and then you discern which one's nice and which one's bad. So it's not that you shouldn't watch them, and I actually think you can learn a lot of stuff from them that you can't even learn off of me, because they mentioned some like really like I guess like basic stuff that I wouldn't even think to mention, because I feel like it's like whatever, but it actually can help a lot of people. Like, think about it this way. There's advice that a lot of like, I guess like entrepreneurs say, that they say, watch what I do and follow that. Don't follow what I say. Because what they mean is essentially sometimes they overlook the basic stuff that could be so helpful for you. Does that make sense?
Gotcha.
Yeah. I might be going so advanced that I might be skipping out some basic stuff that I didn't even think about that could absolutely be helpful for 99% of the population. Does that make sense? So Jiven and all these other YouTubers, they can totally teach you this, right? All of them. But they just need to discern. You need to figure out which one's useful, which one's bad. I feel like breaking it down in a logical way is the best way to do it, which is why I try to do it that way.
Cool. This next 2 questions, I'm gonna pair them together and you can answer them. This is actually probably some of the 2. I've got a couple of them, probably the most important. One, how do I absolutely maximize my VOD review time split between myself and pro players? And then 2, sometimes, and a little background on that, sometimes, and you've been there, you played the game like 16 hours a day, so you know, sometimes you're just like a drone. You're like, I watched my game, I mean, yeah, I died because my SMG wasn't reloaded. Okay. Like, and you're not really with it. You're not like fully focused, like you said, all the way. Yeah. So there's that. And then a little, you can write under that. Is it worth botting people that don't play like me? Or is it much better to VOD people that play like me? For instance, I don't play like Clicks. No one plays like Clicks.
Yes.
Is it worth for me to VOD Clicks, or would it be better someone that you VOD a lot, Hi Joe? Like, is that much more valuable for me, or should I just be doing both?
Cool. So there's 3 questions here. We'll break it that way, right? So the first question, 16 hours a day, you're not focused joining out. How do you solve that? Maximize VOD review time. Like, what should you do? Good practices. And then how is it worth to VOD people that are playstyle similar to yourself or people who are different? Okay?
Right.
So the first thing that we have to answer is the first question here. How to maximize VOD review time. So this is something that I learned from my own experience. I used to write down a ton of notes. Like, I'm talking paragraphs, essays, like literally so many words. And then I realized how useless it was. That's not what's important. So this is how you create focus in your VOD review. You write bare minimum. I'm talking like 8 words after a 2-hour VOD review, right?
Okay.
Now, all these little niche stuff that only show up maybe 3% of the time out of a 10 game tournament should not be written down. It should not be written down. It's not worth it, right? Prioritize. That's the sort of stuff that like pro players will focus on because all their basics and fundamentals are already in place. So then they're realizing, okay, the only reason I'm really bad is something like I don't go dead side on a moving rotate enough where I tank storm with Spider-Man. Something very niche, right? But that should not matter to you because you have so many other problems in front of that, right?
Yeah.
If you had a list of priorities, there's like 20 things before that one for you. Right?
Yeah.
And that's what you should focus on. So how do you sort of write down the most important details? You don't write down anything that's niche or not important. And how do you know what's not important? You focus on fundamentals first, right?
Yep.
And sometimes it's like people try to look for a deeper reason, and I'm very guilty of this. I used to be the overanalyzer, the overthinker. You can probably sort of see this because of like the way I sort of explain things. But I've sort of pulled back on that a lot, right? Like if you think I'm over analyzing now, I was the biggest overthinker, and it's a good and bad thing. So the good thing was that I tried to look for things that like were really, really like critical or deep, but sometimes I was trying to look for stuff that isn't there. So sometimes the reason I died is really simple, like I missed my shot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I would look for like, oh, I didn't position properly. Like this is wrong. No, I should have just hit the shot. I jumped in on someone after I had a 150 HP advantage and I died. What's the mistake?
Yeah.
I missed my shot.
Yep.
Literally, it's that. Like if I'm not able to kill him with that big of an HP advantage and he didn't pre-fire me or do anything fancy, then it's my fault. I missed my shot. Pretty simple. Now again, so short word form for notes, and keep focus in your notes. In other words, keep them very, very short. 3 lines of words per VOD review. And these are your 3 biggest mistakes that you need to work on before next week. And usually when I say next week, I mean like the next solo cash cup, for example. Okay. And
So
also,
tomorrow.
this is what you should do in VOD review.
Okay. Got you.
Look for patterns.
Okay.
That's what you should be doing. Because if anything's a pattern in a pro VOD review, and this is when you're watching like someone better than you, it's done for a reason.
Okay, gotcha. Or they don't know they're doing it, but it's working.
100%. Yeah, they could totally be unconscious or subconscious about it. Like they have no idea they could be doing it, but clearly it's done for like good reason, right? Because it's working. Like they don't have to be aware about it for it to be done with good reason, right?
Cool.
Because that's something that I would look for. Usually, now this is not like end all be all. Like this is 100% true in terms of like that thing being a really good thing. Like for example, let's say a pattern of Donnie is that he does top row edit often, right? And that's like, oh, like that surprised me. I thought he would do peanut butter often. Why does he do top row? It's probably because he wants to expose the enemy and he values ending the fight faster more than peaks, right? So then,
interesting.
If I ask him straight up, I would guarantee you he would have no idea why he does that. But from his experience, we're almost just stealing 3 years of experience off of him because he's played this game for 3 years. And he's doing that because off of his experience, that has worked better.
Right.
So even if we don't necessarily know the reason, just like the best thing that most people in the community can do is at the very least just copy it.
Cool.
Copy it and feel and sort of feel it out. Like try to understand like why it works.
Okay.
Right. But a lot of people don't copy before they fully understand, and I think that's a mistake. I think you should try to do it. If you like, obviously you should attempt to try to understand why they do it, and if you can't, that's okay. Just still copy it and then feel it out to see if it works for you.
Yeah.
Last question, I believe, is it worth to VOD people who are playstyle similar to yourself or people that are different? I think a better question is, first of all, like to answer your question, I think you should do playstyle similar, but I don't think this is the right type of question. The best question sort of should be framed in a way where like, should I be VOD reviewing mechanical players or non-mechanical players?
Gotcha.
Right? So,
okay.
That's the better question in my opinion, because mechanical players sometimes are hard to replicate because they win due to their mechanics sometimes. Now, no one really is an exception,
100%.
right? I feel like Clicks is so fast that he outpaces his opponent, and that's how he wins.
Yes,
sometimes
100%.
he'll make fundamental mistakes, but Noah really is a different case. Noah really is so fast, but yet does everything correctly in a fight, right? And that's why we should vote review him and have no problem with it. Now, it's really important. There's a ton of pro players that don't follow the rules. A ton of them. When I say
what do you mean by the rules?
The fundamentals. They get away with stuff because they're really mechanically good.
Right.
And I don't think long term that has longevity. And you know, Clicks is doing a better job now because he's sort of like learning, like from
yeah, because he got blood over there.
Yep.
Who's like, you're trash.
100%. But the old Clicks absolutely was making mistakes. 100%, right?
Yep.
And that's the sort of thing that I want to avoid. Like I'm talking, when I say old Clicks, I mean like Clicks a year ago. I don't like.
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
I'm with you.
Yeah.
So I never stopped watching comp. I just stopped playing.
Yeah. No, I hear you. And I think the better question, of course, is like non-mechanical or mechanical. I guess the real answer to that is not even mechanics, right? It's the fact that like, are they following the fundamentals? So it's really hard to sort of discern that if you're coming into the scene and you're like new and you don't know what the fundamentals are. But then I could give you recommendations. So for example, Noah Really, Tayson, Arkrim, Epic Whale, these guys are the people you watch. Notice how they're all like really slow except for Noah Really. Because if it's slower, it's probably easier to recognize what they're doing well.
If I could only practice one thing, building, aiming, editing, tarping every single day, what would it be?
Okay, what was the options?
Building.
Yep.
Editing.
Yep.
Tarping.
Yep.
Aim training.
And that's it?
Yep. So that's kind of what I think when I think like mechanical skill, and like accuracy is 100% involved in each one of those 4 categories. But if like there's something I can grind every single day that I need to be grinding every single day, obviously I VOD every day already. I actually do it at work. Don't tell my boss. And then do like, what would you do? Like what would you be like, this is most important. If you have an hour, you have to do this.
So I know what it is. I'm just a little confused because I feel like this should be one category.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Because like, how do you edit without building? So that's what I think. So actually, I think this is the answer.
Okay.
I'm 100% in favor over learning the game mechanics over aim training. Because like, I would like if we had a robot, right? Think about it. Let's take a thought experiment. If you had a robot who could aim perfectly, like literally had aimbot, so like if you were exposed, you die, and a robot who could peek perfectly, like in a way that they do a right hand peek or like a jump shot and they reset almost instantly after they could see the enemy and they shoot. Who do you think would win?
Yep. Well, the peek wins because of the game mechanics. Yeah.
Yep. And that's why I think you should practice that over aim.
Okay.
So a lot of coaches will say like aim is the most important thing. You should practice aim. I don't agree. I don't think that's actually true.
Gotcha.
Cool. I think building and editing is more important than aim. Then aim comes after. Aim is very important, but it's not the most important.
Right. Okay. Here's a good one. How can I adapt as fast as possible to the new meta? So the game you're gonna VOD review you're gonna see very quickly is not a great. I don't think it's a great drop spot, and I think you'll agree.
Yeah.
And I just recently, like tomorrow, my drop spot is gonna be clutch. Like I think I've got it nailed down. Yeah. How do I can't figure this out like now. Like we have 2 cash cups left, right?
Yeah, so here's the answer. There's 2 ways to do this, right? And so you said, how do I do this for the first cash cup? That's really hard, right?
Okay.
Because the second way to give it away is to copy pros.
Okay.
Right? And the only way to do that is to let week 1 pass, right?
Gotcha.
Or have access to watch their scrims. Right? Now, this will never be a full answer, but at least you'll be 1 step behind the best. That's better than usually what you would come up with on your own. So that's at least the a good place to be. Now, how do you do it for the first cash cup? That's really hard because it comes off of experience and knowing intuitively what's really good, just based off of your like value system in Fortnite. Now, in specific, this meta, I'll give you an example. Why is Spider-Man so valued even at 10 charges? Think about it this way: 2 charges equals 1 launch pad, and it's really, really good in terms of mobility that's flexible. So that's this is how I think about the game. Mobility is a coupon for mats. Okay, I'd always talk about this. Launch pads are 300 mats built in. So if you have 2 launch pads and 555, you have 2100 mats. That's broken, right?
Yeah, I'm with you.
The graph, right? If you think about the graph that I talked about earlier, where I talked about like you want to be above average mats, right? Let's say this is the graph. This is time right here. This is mat count. right? And then this is 50-50, first, second, third, fourth, at the end of the movings, right? And then this is the enemy average map count, and this is like 555, right? This is, I don't know how much this is, like let's say 1200. You end up starting up here.
Yeah.
And not only is your line like this, it's actually less slanted because you're Spider-Man. So it's like this.
Yep.
That's a lower slope or whatever, right?
Dude, we played a cash cup with an 80 charge Spider-Man.
Yeah, I know. And no one did anything about it.
I know, yeah.
Some people did things about it, and it's not enough to just pick it up. You actually have to know how to use the tool well.
Yeah,
Like,
sure.
a lot of people didn't realize you have to be elevated at the beginning of a season.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
it's really difficult to understand intuitively. So, like, your understanding of the meta develops as the season goes on. But if you want a really good way to get it, is copy pros or have a coach that tells you right away. And I don't think most people are equipped with the ability to tell what the meta is. So hear out opinions of experienced people. That's what I would guess.
How important is my setup? And I'll tell you this. I was like I'm a big work hard guy. Like I've never been given anything in my life. Like everything I've had, I've worked for, right? So I was big. Nyrox tweeted like a year ago, like this was my first setup. It was like a laptop, right? With like a stupid wireless mouse and like no mouse pad or whatever. How important is my setup? I just switched mice. I had a G502, never bought a mouse. It was like an old mouse. I was like, I'm gonna use this and I'm gonna get good on it. I switched to the G Pro wireless. My aim got like 2 times better. It might be in my head. I know how it works. But like that literally happened. So I'm wondering like what else like would make me 2 times better, you know?
Okay, so what hertz is your monitor?
144.
Okay.
I'm getting a new PC next week. Though I'm selling. I play on a laptop, bro. Origin laptop.
Yep. Cool. And another thing that matters a lot is mousepad quality.
Okay.
Another thing that matters a lot is your seating adjustment, right? So like how close is it to the dust? What's the height? I am not an expert on this, so this is what I say. You Google this.
Nice.
Tons of experienced people that will give you a better answer than me. I actually have no numbers here, so I have no clue.
Cool. Is keyboard really that important?
What's your keyboard? It depends on how bad it is. That's the thing.
I don't know, dude.
Yep. Is it a mechanical keyboard?
Yes.
Okay, you're fine.
Okay,
now,
cool.
If it has hardware issues after use for a long time, then yeah, you should probably switch.
I think we're good there.
If it's a mechanical keyboard, you should be okay.
Okay, I use a hard cloth. It's like a rough cloth pad. It's the same one. If you remember Frosty ZK back in the day,
I do.
I loved his aim, so I literally found his mouse pad and bought it.
Yeah.
It's called an MP510. So I don't know.
Oh yeah. I think it's good. I think it's a good mouse.
Okay. Cool.
Like the quality of when you purchase it is different from what its current quality is, right? So I think you should, like, I don't know, I'm not, like, again, I'm not that big of an expert on mousepad quality. So whatever you can do to upkeep that quality while you're using it is what you should be doing. Make sure it doesn't get bad, because that can mess up your stuff. However, right? Think about like this sort of thing. Like, I think the most important thing actually is not even your equipment, but just like how many frames you get. Like in terms of, obviously this is PC related at this point, but your frames are important. This will this one actually affects your gameplay a lot. But get good
80 frames end game.
Yeah, you should up that. You should up
that. Okay, cool. Well, we're taking care of that. I think that's a big problem.
More money in that than anything else, than mouse or keyboard, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Because you already have good gaming mouse or keyboard. That's fine.
Okay, sweet. Last question. I've been waiting so long, and I might have paid you $60 to ask you this question. So are you ready?
Yeah.
I want you to walk me through, and I know you know, so I want you to walk me through a day in the life of Supero's grind.
Yep. And it's gonna be pretty surprising, I think.
That's fine.
Yep. So the Supero, for those of you guys who don't know, like literally super important. Like, this is my first student, right? And actually I had no intention of like actually starting coaching at this point, but his dad reached out to Bhakti, my teammate, and Bhakti was like, I don't do coaching, try Zykoma, he might want to, because he's like taking a break right now. Like he might want to start coaching or something, like try him. And then he's like, okay, tries me. I'm like, okay, I'm down, let's try this, it'll be a cool project. Like, cool. I worked with him for a decent amount of time. He was 0 PR at the time, and then now he's like 8k PR. Like, now he's like chilling. Now here's the truth, he was already a good box fighter before I met him, right? So he had mechanics, right? He knew all the basics, so he's already equipped with the tools. However, his game sense was fucking dog shit. It was horrible. Right? Like, I'm talking like he's on height, and I wish I clipped this. Like we're both laugh about it to this day. There's literally like an instance where he's playing scrims, and I'm like live coaching him, and he's literally tarping backwards on height. Like
the wrong way.
Yeah, like he has to tarp north, and instead of doing that, he's made a U shape and like goes backwards. He's not even recycling his old tarp. Like he's literally tarping again, going backwards, right? And like this is how bad he was game set. Like in other words, he was a creative warrior. He's just like Mero or Day at the very beginning, who literally had no idea how to scrim. He's just like Dukes. He's just like this. This is the potential I saw in him. I put a ton of effort into him and really made sure he could do well. Now he's playing with my old teammate, the same guy he asked at the very beginning. He's playing with the 40k PR player, right?
Yeah.
And to be honest, his grind is pretty simple, right?
Okay.
I don't think he has a routine. Right? I haven't given him a routine. I don't think it's that important. So every time someone asks me for one, I don't necessarily like tell them, oh, like it's not that important. Like maybe it works better for some other people, but Supero, there's no routine. You just get on. Okay, here's the only routine. So this is the part that's actually structured. He has a Kovacs routine. I believe he does that, right? He definitely Kovacs,
yep.
And he has a warm-up routine that he like sort of like, it's not, so warm-up routine is not actually the correct word. It's sort of like a training routine. And
sure, yeah, 100%.
This is how simple it is. And this is exactly what I give other people in my coaching. Very simple. Any Kovacs routine you want, right? Just make sure it's credible, right?
Yeah.
Just make sure it's like a good routine. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Don't waste time on like making it the most optimal. Just make sure it's 80 to 90%, and that's good enough. What's more important is actually, are you doing it every day?
Fair, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I care about. If you do that, I'm happy. Your aim will improve by a large margin. Okay.
Yeah.
Second thing is any Raiders piece control map or mechanics map, and do that for 30 minutes a day at least.
Okay. Yep.
You just do those two things. A lot of people think they're smarter than they are. They want structure for some reason. They want like some crazy structure because they think that's what pros do. 99% of pros don't do that.
Yeah.
Like that's again the storyline, right? Like, oh, pros grind, pros do this, do that. They don't. They have a very simple routine, and that's how simple it gets. Like there's nothing more past this. It's literally Kovacs, Raiders piece control map, or like mechanics map, or some sort of like training routine, not warm-up routine. Warm-up routine for most people, the pros, they PG.
Right. So that's great. I actually have two.
Yeah.
I have a training routine and a warm-up routine because I never train on tournament day.
Yeah.
So, well, unless I get up really early, it's like 5-hour break between. But my warm-up, I can show you them if you want me to send you the link.
Sure.
I actually, dude, I do this thing where I just DM pros, like just straight DM them. Mm-hmm. I've DM'd like 50 pros, and I get some back that are like, you should change this. But
yes.
let me.
Yes.
This is if I'm just have my 4 to 5 hours a day.
Yep.
And normally I'll watch your videos and write notes, or have DJ's masterclass, so I like work through those videos, write notes. I've been through it once, I think, and I'm on the second half. My game sense is the best part of my game. I got 84 points last Cash Cup simply on placement.
Yes.
I got 4 kills. Like, so I know, like, I'm very patient. Like, I'm not, if I have movement and heals and mats, I'm not, you could smack on my wall for 5 minutes. I'm not editing, right? Like, the biggest thing I need to improve is my mechanics. And by that, I mean aim. Like, I'm not, like, if Supero started as a good box fighter, I'm not a good box fighter, right? Like, I think I've gotten way better in the last 3 months, but that's kind of why my daily grind is so structured towards like 10 minutes of free build, 20 minutes of build fight, or 20 rounds of build fights, 10 rounds of box fighting. So like, what do you think? That's my biggest weakness. What do you think is the most important for me to improve?
Yeah, so first thought is this. Let me put it into perspective, okay? Look at my screen here. Think about it this way, right? It's a skill right here. And then this is, let's say, orange and red. Let's say orange is mechanics, red is game sense, okay?
Yep.
Okay, so this is a pro's game sense mechanics, and this is yours.
Right? Yep.
So
100%.
yes, your game sense is more important, but do you see the gap?
Yes.
Okay, so watching World Cup is absolutely, honestly, it does help. But the truth be told, if this was your case, you would be top 100.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I don't think, like, this is important, don't get me wrong. You just need editing accuracy. And yes, editing accuracy part of mechanics is sure. But I think this is what you need to focus on the most. honestly.
Sure.
So how do you improve mechanics while you're doing this? Because like honestly, the correct answer is to improve both. You shouldn't like just do one.
Yes.
Improve both.
100%. Yep.
You should be working on both. Now, like how much you work on both is like on each thing is different based on each person. Based on like what they really need. So sometimes like I'll have students and like their game sense is like really good, but then they miss edits all the time, and that's what's holding them back. 90% mechanics for them. Right.
Yeah.
That's what they need to focus on. But in your case, I think what you should do is just like learn as much as possible. Right. So mechanics should be something that you do on a daily like sort of basis, kind of like going to the gym. Right. How do you lose weight? You go to the gym every single day and you eat less. That's how you do it. Right. Like that. It's that simple. So the same thing with mechanics. You just need to play mechanical things every single day. Creative, realistic, PGs, Raiders piece map, stuff like that. And then after that, you just scrim. You should just scrim. You should learn. There's so much to learn from experience, and I think scrimming is actually one of the best ways to do it.
Gotcha.
Don't spend
cool.
all day on mechanics. I think that's a mistake. And don't spend all day on game sense and not do mechanics. That's a mistake too, right? You should be
Right.
It should be a mix. It should be like a 20-80, a 30-30, a 30-70. It should be like a split like that based on what you need. And right now, I think you need both.